Good afternoon. I see people joining in. We're so glad that you are able to join us. As you come in, tell me in the chat box your name and where you're from or your church name. I love to see that too. And that enters you to win a giveaway, which we will be doing at the end of today. So welcome. Come on in. Tell us in the chat box where you're from and your church name. We can't wait to see where you're from. We're going to get started in just a minute. I see people joining in. Hey, Brittany, we're glad you're here. Brittany's our first one to tell us where she's from. You're entered, Brittany. We're glad you're here. We're going to get started in 1 minute. Hey, Angela. Hey, Mary Ann. Thank you, guys. Hey, Kyle Oakley. Hope you're doing well. All right, we're going to get started here. I'm going to give everybody 1 more minute. As you're joining in, tell me your name and where you're from, or put your church name. That's great too. And that enters you to win a giveaway at the end. I love to hear where you're from. So drop your name, where you're from. Hey, Robin, glad you could join us. Hey, Catherine. All right, let's jump in. I'm so glad you're here. As you're coming in, I love seeing where you're from. So tell me where you're from on here. Hey, Daniel Wright, I'm glad you could join. And Candace. And then we're going to get started. When you put your name in the chat box, that enters you to win. Let me tell you what you're going to win today. You're getting a Upward Running t-shirt, an Upward Running hoodie, and an Upward Sports book bag. So when you put your name in that chat box, that tells us where you're from. Hey, Patrick Greer, we're glad you could join us. Today, we are excited that you are getting to hear about the launch of Upward Running, and we are excited about it. A lot of you have been asking questions along the way, and this is the place where you're going to find out all about it. So I wanted to bring on our experts of helping us launch this. So as you're coming in, thank you again. Put your name and your church name. My name is Jennifer McCraw. I'm with Upward Sports. And you guys have, if you've been on a webinar before, I love being a part of them and bringing in the experts to help us. So I brought on Travis Vaughn. Travis is the Director of Market Research, Product Development, and Marketing. My boss. Hey, Travis, we're glad you could join.
Happy to be here.
Great. And then we have Mitchell Hollis. Mitchell is the Upward Running Director here. So, hey, Mitchell, we're glad you could join us.
Thanks for having me, Jennifer.
Let's jump in. You guys were amazing. When you signed up, you entered and put a lot of questions. So I compiled those, and we are going to try to cover every question that we can in the next, let's say, an hour. We're going to try to be done before an hour. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about 3 topics. And so don't feel like you have to write all of this down. I will email this to you by in the morning so that you can play this back and watch that and ask questions. So today we're going to talk about why Upward Running for adults. And then our second topic is, what does this mean? What does it look like? We want to know what is included. So we're going to talk about that. And then the third one is, how do we start this? So those 3 topics will be covered in detail here today. There may be some questions along the way that you have, and I hope there is. So if you have questions, drop them into the chat box or the Q&A box, and we will stop about 20 minutes till, and we will ask your questions live to the experts. So you guys, are you ready to jump in?
Sure.
All right, let's talk. Our first topic is why running for adults with Upward. So I'm going to put you on the hot seat first, Travis. You lead market research. We just talked about that here at Upward. Tell me what led to adding the sport of running.
Well, I think more than anything, it's about the leadership from Kevin Drake, our executive director. He has been one that in his several years here has talked about moving into adult sports for a little while. And so he was the one that originally, found Run for God and Mitchell Hollis and made the connection to kind of see, what are some other ministries out there that are doing adult sports really well, and what can we learn from them, or what might come up some conversations there. And through that, a merger from Run for God and Upward Sports happened mid-year last year. And so from a market research standpoint, there wasn't anything necessarily that pointed us to say running being the first sport that we offer specifically, but it is a sport that we like the idea that there's a church model version of it, so you can have group-based things, and then there's an individual aspect to it as well, to where we could, really for the first time in the history of our organization, go and work with people directly as they engage with us on a sport. And so that was an interesting piece as well. And I think we can take learnings from working with adults and working with individuals, both, which we've never done before, and apply that to other programs or to future programs as well. So I think some of the learnings will really come moving forward. But I think Kevin Drake gets a big portion of the credit here for really identifying a company that had some great people that were already working there with a proven track record of success in the ministry world, and from that, this merger took place last year.
I love that. So you've mentioned Run for God, and so Mitchell Hollis, you're on here. You're the Upward Running Director, but also the founder of Run for God. So I want to step back just 1 second and give you a minute to, share with us and explain Run for God and how that ministry, how you created that ministry and how the Lord laid that on your heart.
Yeah, so I actually come to running in my adulthood. People think I've been a lifelong runner, but I haven't. And in 2009, I was an avid runner. I was a triathlete, competed in Ironman events, marathons, and the Lord really convicted me through a gentleman at my church that this sport that I loved had actually become an idol in my life. And we think of idols as something you have on your mantle at home, but an idol is really anything that comes between you and Christ. And he really convicted me of that. And so I knew I either had to give this sport up I love, or I had to give it over to God. And so what transpired over the next 6 months was 12 t-shirts that I had made that said Run for God. That transpired into a 12-week Bible study that I started at my class, and ultimately it turned into a published program within the period of 6 months. And so, I always kid around and say I'm not smart enough to do this, but it really was all God opening those doors. And that was in January of 2010. And over the next 13, 14 years, the ministry really grew. We actually looked to Upward Sports kind of as a roadmap of how we do things, because Upward really had a great infrastructure already in place in churches, and we followed their lead along the way. And so when Kevin reached out to me in March of 2013 and asked if we had ever thought about merging or coming together with a group like Upward, it really was an easy decision. Upward's platform is such that it was an easy fit for us.
So March of last year was the first conversation. Is that right?
Correct. March of 13. Yeah.
Of
I'm
20.
sorry, 2023. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
2023. Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, Mitchell. So we are so excited that Upward Running is another ministry tool that you guys on here can use. And so I saw a lot of questions come in, and you guys asked the question, adults versus children. So Travis, I want to ask you, Upward Sports is prominently known as youth sports ministry. Why just adults at this time? And for all of our listeners in right now, can we expect to see this experience added for our children's group in the future?
Great question, because of the natural connections to all the things we've done in youth sports over the last 29 years now. And the answer is it's only adults in where we are today because of some of the technology factors of it. We have an app that we're building that'll be the backbone of everything that we do here. It's going to contain all the curriculum, the ministry resources, the training resources, tracking, things like that. We can get into what's all in the app later on here. But in doing that, some of the safeguards that we feel like are important to put in for a minor, we just haven't had time to put that in there in the initial release. And so we expect that could happen one day, but it's not even currently on the roadmap. It's something that we will have to see moving forward what that might look like, or what a junior minor level program might look like in the future. But really, it's not necessarily a decision where we're saying we only want this to be for adults. It's really a technology driven decision at this point to say we feel confident about what we're offering. It's going to be a good program for adults moving forward. But some of the things that we feel like would be important to have in there for someone that was a minor just aren't going to be a part of the first release here.
That's great to know. So if you're on here, that was a question probably by half of you, wondering if this is going to be for your children or your youth at this point. So not yet, not right now. And so this is really a great opportunity for you to step into ministering to adults, utilizing that for your congregation. So let's go to number 2. We've talked about, now we know that upward running, if you're on here, it is for adults. And so let's talk about, what does this mean for our church? And I want to help you guys understand what all is offered. We always want to know, what are we going to get as well? So let's go to the first question that I put together, Mitchell. And I want to ask you this. So what does upward running look like in a church setting? And then what programs are offered?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Jennifer. Yeah, so basically where this program was really born was in the churches. And it started off with the 5K Challenge. It's kind of our flagship program. The 5K Challenge it's a 12-week Bible study that parallels faith and endurance. And it takes people who have never run, or may have never not run in many years, to their first 5K. And this is typically taught in the church setting. While it doesn't have to be in the church, it could be at a park or somewhere else, so long as it has a sponsoring church. But you meet one night a week, and that night is really broken up into 3 parts. So you have, the first part is the Bible study. So we have a lot of devotional material, as being a part of Run for God, you'll have access to. But you go through the Bible study is kind of the first 20, 25 minutes of the class, where you go through the story together. You have some kind of thought-provoking questions. You have some scripture references that you can go through. And then you move on to the second part, which is the education component. Running, while it's not complicated, there are some things you need to know to enter the sport safely. And by safely, I mean, not getting injuries, shin splints, things like that you may have heard of. But we go through everything that you need to know as a beginning runner during that 12 weeks. So things like shoes, injuries and injury prevention, stretching, nutrition. We kind of hit the surface level of a lot of different categories, so that you have the confidence in entering the sport the right way. And then the third part, and that's usually 20 to 30 minutes as well. And then the last part is the workout. So you have one class each week, and you have 3 workouts each week. And all the workouts in the 5K challenge are 30 minutes each. So you progress from a little bit of running and a lot of walking. And as you progress, you go into more running and less walking. And then by the end, you have all running. Now, with that said, we do have training plans within the 5K challenge for those walkers. There's a lot of people out there that they just don't want to run. They want to learn how to walk faster. And so we have those programs for them as well. Something new to kind of our arsenal since the merger with Upward is the training groups. And I'll give Travis the credit here. This was kind of his idea. And the training groups, while it has been done in the past somewhat unstructured and not really put together by us, it's kind of where you have all those runners in the church, or the people who have graduated from the 5K challenge. And what we've done is, as part of the Upward Church model, is we have put a framework, kind of an infrastructure around that. So you can host a training group in your church, all of the training, all of the education will be done via the app because everybody's going to be training for different things in the training group. The 5K challenge, everybody's training for a 5K. But the training group, you may have Jennifer, you may be training toward a 5K. Travis may be training for the next marathon. But it's a framework whereby you can meet once each week, and then we provide time relevant devotional content to the coach of those groups where you still get that Bible study, you still get those faith discussions, you still get that community, but you have people training at all different levels. So those really are the two main buckets for the church model is the 5K challenge and the church model. And the 5K challenge is 12 weeks, and the training group really can run indefinitely. And that's kind of our hope is that you'll form these clubs in your church and you'll just keep continuing to add people to them.
That's great. So let me ask this. So if we're doing the 5K challenge, that's again for our entering the sport for the first time. They're learning to walk, to run, to end after 12 weeks at a 5K. Would you say that this training group is a great way to progress after that 5K?
Sure. Yeah. What I tell people here is they ask about the 5K challenge specifically, and they say, yes, it's a group for runners, but can I, if a lot of the coaches are runners themselves, they say, can I invite all my running friends to that class? And we really throw up a little bit of caution here. And it simply comes from the very first class I ever taught. I sat that group of people down at the end, all of which were not runners. These people had no background in running. They were entering the sport for the first time. And I'll never forget what a few of the ladies said, and it really stuck with me. They said, if I would have come to that class the first night and would have walked into a room full of runners, I would not have come back. And the point being is that entering the sport for your first time, some people are a little bit self-conscious, intimidated. They don't feel equipped to do this. And so if you do have runners there, have them there as cheerleaders, have them there as encouragers. This is not the time for them to be doing their workout. This is a time for them to be there to encourage each other. So it's for that reason that we really have created that separation where you've got your beginners, and then you have the group of your other runners, and your beginners simply kind of graduate into that training group.
That's great. So if you're on here, again, there's two options under this upward running church model. You may hear that reference. It's the 5K challenge. It's the 12-week. And then there's the training groups. So all of that is available. If you're in here and you're a current Upward partner, all of this, we'll talk about this, will be available for you in My Upward. If you're on here and you're not an Upward partner yet and you're looking at, hey, this would be a great way for me to enter sports ministry by reaching my adults in my community and my congregation. You will have a platform where you'll be able to create these groups. So I think that's a great segue into let's talk about what is included in this upward running church model or the upward running experience. And so Travis, you hit on it earlier. Let's take the first option of this Run Club app. You just hit on that. Tell us a little bit about this app and what this app will have for a church group. And then also, can you speak to the individual model while you're here?
Sure. So as mentioned previously, but just to recap, all the curriculum that an individual will need will be in that app and served up to you daily. So each day there's a different type of content type that is served up to you, whether that's a devotion, it could be some running knowledge, and we give that to you based on what kind of running knowledge coming in. So like someone that's in that 5K challenge initially is going to get a different set of curriculum than someone who's already completed maybe a 10K and is logging 20 miles a week or something like that, which is going to get a different set of information than someone who's a marathon and a seasoned runner and has been for a long time. And so you can always learn more. I mean, I've been running since I was in high school. I'm currently training for a marathon myself, but I'm constantly a sponge for the newest information out there about race day tactics or nutrition or things like that. And so this really meets the runner where they're at and gives them the information that they might need for their current situation there. So we got the devotions, we got the running content, we got the training plans. And so training plans is going to be based on what type of race you are or distance you're currently working towards. So that's kind of served up for you based on where you are in your current journey, from a beginner, intermediate, advanced type level, and all things in between. We've got a series of questions that we're going to ask you, especially when you come in as an individual, that's going to kind of put you in the right plan there. We also got these communities in there. So this is, think of like a social feed, and people are commenting back and forth, encouraging each other, posing questions as to, I'm faced with this challenge. What should I do? I've got this knee thing. What does that mean? I just had this race. Everyone's giving kudos on that. And so we're going to have a number of different kind of social groups coming out of the gate. So be a group for like moms that, you are there and can easily talk with other moms on there, and have your own kind of group there to be talking with people very similar to you. Retirees, these are not the names of the groups, but I'm trying to give you the personas here. That might be one. Chasing big goals might be another one. Walkers might be another one. And then if we think of it from a church model standpoint, if you're in one of these 5K groups or in one of the training groups, you'll have a dedicated social feed just for your group as well. So you can get on and chat about things that's happening in your own individual running group and kind of keep that in its own special feed. And you can move in and out of these different social feeds as you see fit. But really think this is the place where community happens. Mitchell tells lots of great stories about how people from all over the country have historically really got to know each other and become great friends, even though they've maybe never met in person. And we expect that to only be enhanced by some of the stuff that we're doing within the app itself. Now, a couple other things that'll be a part of it. Run tracking will be in there. So if you don't have like a wearable that tracks, distance, time, speed, that type of thing, and then logs that historically over time, that'll be a part of the app that you can utilize. And badges, milestones, history, all those things will be a part of the app as well. So it should be an all-encompassing app that's a one-stop place for an individual to come in and utilize on a day-to-day basis, both for their spiritual growth, their growth within the sport of running or walking, and then for the very specifics of how to do that as well. All of that should be a part of the app. And this again is the backbone of both the individual piece here and the church groups as well.
So guys, on here, this is like the hub for everything for your runner or your walker that is part of the 5K class or part of the training group. And I know we'll get to this, but you'll be able to create your package inside of My Upward for each class that you're doing or each group that you're doing. And this is a requirement for every participant, is this Run Club app, because this app is the place where they're going to stay connected. Of course, they're going to have your class time that you have once a week, but this is also where they're able to track everything, get the spiritual encouragement. There's going to be podcasts available to them. So this is exciting. This is their spot. So I love that.
Yeah, one more thing on that.
Yeah.
Like, just think about the church group. You're going to meet once a week in person, and you can get some great information from the curriculum we have there and the coaches that are going to lead that throughout the year. But there's things to do or things to learn on a day-to-day basis, and that's why the app really takes us to a new level for us.
I totally agree. I'm really excited about it. Let's go to apparel and swag. That was another question that you guys on here were like, what is the swag? What do they get? So I'm going to ask you again, Travis, about the swag. Tell us what this looks like for our participants that are in these classes.
Well, we said early on that we're going to try to learn from the adult and from the individual's piece,
Yep.
and maybe apply it in other places. Well, we're going to take all the things that we've learned from Upward Sports in the last few years and apply it here as well. So you can build your own package. You can go from a very minimal package or even nothing. You can just utilize the app if you want to and not have to buy any tangible products if you want, or you can build a much larger package. So we got some Upward running shirts in there, both in short sleeve and long sleeve, water bottles, books like the 5K challenge book. If you're doing that group, Mitchell has developed that book over the years. We've just updated it. It looks great. It's going to feel great in your hand. It's journal type book where you can take notes as you go week over week throughout it. And so there's going to be a number of items that you can choose for your class, but you, the leader, get to choose that. And then each person in your class would get that week one when you start your programming. So up to you as to what goes in that package.
Well, I want the swag. So when I join my class, I hope I get the swag. So
In addition to that, let's just know that there's other advertising type items that we have historically called that the starter kit, but promo cards, posters, things like that from a tangible standpoint are available. There are other things like e-flyers that you can have, social media images that you can use, all part of the things that you would get as a leader when it comes to that. And then each person, once they are a part of the run club, would have access to the store to get as much swag as you want to get. So we would love to have you logoed up out there in the community all the time. But that's how that'll work.
So if you're on here and you are not an Upward Sports Church partner yet, in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about how you can schedule a call. This is where they're going to be able to create a custom package for you. If you are already a current Upward partner, this is going to be similar to adding a new sport for you inside of My Upward. You will have the exact same resources that is available to you in other sports. So you'll have, like Travis said, the advertising resources, the social media images, the promo cards. You'll have all of this, even the online registration link as well. So just know this is the same in that sense, as we want to make it easy for you to understand inside of our platform called My Upward. It's another good segue. Let's talk about My Upward here, Mitchell, and the ministry and education resources. This is about the sport of running, which is exciting. However, also Upward Sports we are a ministry partner to the church. And so we definitely want to provide ministry resources. So can you speak to these ministry and education resources that will be found inside My Upward?
Yeah, so ironically, My Upward is really what drew us to Upward in the first place. I grew up with my kids playing soccer and basketball. And so we really got to see My Upward almost from the parent point of view and kind of behind the scenes. And so I was really excited to bring Run for God into that. But yeah, My Upward, we simply are trying to make it easy for the coaches out there, the league directors, to add this program. But in My Upward, you'll be able to create your own registration page. Travis mentioned that we're going to be sending out all the marketing materials that you can market into your community, whether it's posters or cards at church. But probably the most effective piece is that registration link that you can go to social media and use the materials that we provide and promote it in your community, and people can go online and register right then. And then as the class begins, probably the biggest thing that a lot of our coaches like is, some people can take a book and they can just stand up there and teach. I've kidded that we've had a lot of instructors in the past that can teach circles around me. But some people, on the other hand, they don't want to get up there and stand behind a podium and teach every Monday night. We have a lot of people who are teaching for their first time. They've never taught anything in their lives, but they're an avid runner and they want to do something to give back to their church and the community. So we have a series for the 5K challenge. We have a series of videos that basically does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Dean Thompson and myself, we walk participants through the 5K challenge, teaching from the book that they will likely have in front of them. And then at the end of the video, the coach can simply turn it off and then talk about what everybody just learned. And so we've really tried to make it easy in that aspect. And then, like we've talked about, segueing all of these people into um, the Run Club app. And let me just explain a little bit about what we mean about going from the 5K Challenge church model into the Run Club app. This is the only thing that we make mandatory, is that when people join your class in the church, that they become a member of Run Club. And we do that because of something Travis just mentioned a few minutes ago. We had a race a couple years back, and a lady got out of her car, and her name was Madonna Barker. And I remember seeing her get out of her car, and I made the comment, "Oh, I'm excited to see Madonna again." And one of the ladies on our team, she said, "You've never met Madonna." And I said, "Yeah, yeah, I have." And she said, "No, you haven't." And it hit me that I feel like I knew Madonna. I feel like I know so many people from all around the country because I've been part of this community called Run Club for so long. And that is what's really special about this group, is that you get to know these names, you get to know the faces, you get to form these relationships. And many times you've never even met them. And so it's for that reason that we know the power of Run Club, and that's why we asked that everybody joining your local group join that as well.
Thank you. So if you guys are on here, we covered three things. Again, the Run Club app. We talked about what is available to you as the coach that's going to lead this. And we're going to talk about how do you find that coach in just a minute. The swag that's able for your participant boxes, and then the ministry and education resources. And let me just highlight one more point on this. So when you do set up your 5K challenge or your training group, all of those resources are inside My Upward, just like they are today. And it will walk your coach through how to have your participants safely enter. It will be similar as for a current partner that's on here, similar to what your coach leads each practice plan with. So that is an equivalent that you can think of these resources for. And then you have the devotion, the player devotion. That is similar to the ministry resources that will be provided to you for this class. I'm trying to parallel these for our current partners on here so you understand exactly. We want to make this easy for you as you're adding this in. Let's move into this. Another question we had is we had a timeline. You've talked, Mitchell, about this 12 weeks entering into the 5K challenge. Let's talk about when we just the 5K challenge. We're thinking about that. It seems to be a great start for the program for the church. I know that was a question. I was like, where do we even start? So we have two programs. Which one do we start with? I think the 5K challenge is the best one for you to start with. How do we build out our timeline?
Yeah, so most 5K challenges, the graduation is a local 5K in your community. And so what we tell people is to start with the 5K. If you're thinking about starting this class in your community and you know you want to finish at a 5K, identify what that 5K is, and then you simply start to work backwards. So let's say your 5K is sometime mid-April. Well, that means that you need a class to start sometime in January. You want to count back, we say 12 to 14 weeks. And the reason we're kind of ambiguous there is you may have, let's say, a church-wide revival, or you may have spring break in the middle of your class, and you know this is going to be a week that would affect attendance and things like that, and so you want to skip a week. It's okay to skip a week in the 5K challenge. And what you do is you're skipping the Bible study, you're skipping the education, saving that for the next week, but you don't want to skip your workout, so you simply repeat the prior week's workouts, and then you pick up the week after that. One thing that we do discourage is making the class shorter. That just really opens the door for injuries and things like that. You don't really want to do that. So you count back 12 weeks, 12 to 14 weeks, you have your start date, and then we typically suggest at least a 1 month runway of having your marketing and registration and things like that. And that just gives you time to get out in the community and really get the word out about your class.
That's great. So if you're on here, now is a great time to start looking at preparing your timeline for a potential January or February launch of the class in your church. So if you're not an Upward Sports partner, you're going to need to schedule a call, which we'll talk again about in just a minute, for us to go ahead and customize that. Let me ask a question, Mitchell. You just talked about a 5K and you said that's where we're going to work backwards 12 weeks. So we find this 5K locally in our community. What happens if we don't have a local 5K?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jennifer. You know, a lot of times people either they don't have a 5K in their community, or they may have a 5K, but it doesn't work into their timeline, or they simply don't want to graduate at a 5K. No matter what the reason is, we also offer what we call a virtual race package. And this is for those churches who, you know, you can do a 5K in your church parking lot a lot of times. It may be a few loops around your parking lot, or it may be on a local trail that you have in your community, or even a track at a local high school. You can really complete a 5K anywhere. As long as it's 3.1 miles, you've kind of fit the bill. Um, but a lot of times, if you don't go to that structured race in a community where you get your t-shirt, and a lot of times you'll get a medal and things like that, maybe you don't want to do that, or there's not one in your community, but you still want that experience, then you can order our virtual race packages. And this is simply where you can go in and order uh, the race packages, and it comes with a t-shirt, and it also comes with a finisher's medal. So it'll be an upward virtual run finisher's medal. And so you really give your students that finish line experience without, you know, without having a local race to do it at. You can still give them that special graduation experience. Now, I will say going forward, if that is something you're planning to do, reach out to us and let us know so we can make sure that we've got enough medals, because those are a limited resource that we have each year. So just reach out and let us know that you're doing that, and we'll let you know, make sure we've got, you know, enough resources on hand to do that.
Perfect. We're coming to the end of this section where we are talking about what is included in it. And there's some great questions. So keep your questions coming, because I'm going to stop these guys in 5 minutes and we're going to ask some questions live. I hope you're excited about this. I am so excited about the launch of Upward Running. And this is something we've been talking about for a little over a year now. And we are here and we are launching this, and I'm excited. You may be on here, and I'm going to ask Travis this last question before we move on. And you may be on here and you're saying, that is exciting, but I'm not the person to lead this. So we call this person a coach. And so, Travis, where do we find this coach? Tell us how we even get started in that direction.
Well, chances are, if you're on this call, you might be the coach. You might be someone
true.
who's been in sports ministry for some time, and so you don't have to be an avid runner to be one of our coaches. You could be someone that's just passionate about ministering and using sports, which is another sport out there, to be able to offer that. But if you are not the person and you're looking for someone within your church that might be a good person to lead this program, someone that you do know that is a runner, that has that passion, might be a good person to reach out to and to inquire about, runners. And I am one. If there's anything that they really love, it's they love talking about running. And so if you give a runner an opportunity to do that and then make it part of their own personal ministry, a lot of times that is going to be what might be intriguing to them. But I'm new to this. I'm going to come from the upward side. I'm going to kick it over to Mitchell and say, in your 14 years now of experience of finding coaches for these programs, what have you found to be the best way?
Yeah, to kind of go with your point, for the majority of the time, it is a runner. You know, we've heard of pastors that wanted to do this, and they, you know, immediately somebody comes to mind, and it's Bill who sits in the third row, and I know he's a runner. He talks about it all the time. Go and identify those people and reach out to them, because you never know it. They may be looking for a way to do ministry. Maybe they're not really involved in the church like they could be, and this is a great opportunity. But with that said, we have had a lot of people through the years reach out and say, I'm really intrigued about getting into the sport of running. I would like to lead this. Can I lead this program as a non-runner? And the answer is yes. I've always said the best way to learn is to teach. And so we've had a lot of people who have taught their way through this program, and they're kind of in the trenches with their students, learning this at the same time. And there's really nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, it's a really great way of doing it. So there's no right or wrong answer as to who is your coach. For the most part, it is a runner, but it can be somebody who wants to enter the sport. And it could be somebody who's not a runner and has no plan to run, but they have a passion for ministry. That person will work just fine as well.
It's just like any other sport we do here at Upward. I mean, I've been a coach in Jennifer's basketball league here in Spartanburg in the past when she was a league director. I don't think Jennifer's going up shooting hoops every Saturday ever,
Maybe. You
probably
never
not
know.
to my knowledge. And so, in the same way that you can run an Upward sports program and not be into that sport specifically, you can do that here on the running side too.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Travis, was just like Upward. Our materials are going to be seamless for you to be able to find a leader that is passionate about ministry and being able to, put that over that and help them be able to lead and lead well. I want to stop here for a minute and we're going to open up for questions. I did want to give you time to type your questions in. And then I think I'm going to change it up here, guys, a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and do questions before we talk about like, how do we get this started? That way we can go ahead and get all the questions. And I want to make sure we give 10 minutes to this. And then we're going to talk about how to get it started. And then I'm going to do the giveaway. So go ahead and put the questions in here. I did want to hit one or two questions that people put when they registered, because I tried to group them all together. A lot of these we did answer on here, but this was a good one from Kyle Oakley. And I wanted to take time to, Travis, you might want to answer it, or even Mitchell. He asked, how do you implement this running club into an existing adult sports ministry? What's the best way to do that?
I know Kyle, I've met Kyle a time or two, and I know he does a lot of different sports there
He
at
does
the
adult
church,
basketball,
and he
for
does
sure.
adult basketball as well. I would just look at it no different than adding any other sport there at your church. And so this can run at the same time as another program, but just go after a different type of adult in your community and at your church. Or it could, follow up to another league that you're running. I don't think there is, I think you're going to have a different type person come out here than you would say in your adult basketball program or something like that. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah,
But
I think it does.
there was another question I thought I saw come in earlier. Maybe I can hit on that for a second. How does this work maybe with other youth programs that you're running?
Yep.
And we think it can work really well. Now, we don't have any evidence of this yet because it's new, but we believe that there could be an opportunity for this maybe to run as something for adults to do during the practice time of some of the youth sports programs that are out there. So as a market research guy like I am, I would love to know if anyone takes that on, how that goes, and to kind of walk along with you and see if there's any tweaks to the programming that we can do to help you do that more effectively. I think that could be a great way of engaging the parents of players in your league. But again, it's an idea. It's not been utilized yet, but largely, again, this might be additional people, or it might just give you an opportunity. 50% of our participants nationally are unchurched based on the statistics that we pull each year. And so if you have a league going on in your church for youth, just opening that up at the same time of like, hey, we also have this thing for adults, and that may or may not be on the same night that you're doing something with the youth, might be another way of having an extra touch point to that family of an unchurched person to be able to share the gospel.
That's great. I was going to say the same thing. I think it would be awesome. 12 weeks for the league, 12 weeks for running. I mean, man, that would be great to like overlay them. Here we go. Y'all ready? I'm just going to ask the question and you guys answer. Davey says, what races or events will other Upward run teams be attending? Are they individual? How would I find that information?
Yeah, so that's the beauty of kind of the run club and upper running in general is the community that's built. So yes, we do have races that we put on the schedule each year. Those haven't been published for next year yet. We're currently working on those, but we do provide opportunities for meetups throughout the year. That could be your graduating race for your class, or you could have a local, graduation for your class, and then simply as part of the run club experience, visit some of these other races. But yeah, I mean, some of those are done by us, and then some of those honestly are done organically through the run club. Somebody will say, "Hey, I'm running the Atlanta, 10K, the Peachtree Road Race in Atlanta on July the 4th. If anybody else is going to be there, let's have a group meetup." We actually have one this coming weekend in Kentucky, I believe, where several of our run club participants are meeting up. But to answer the question, yes, we do have some races throughout the year that are kind of not necessarily our races, but ones that we say, "Hey, we're going to be a part of these races. Anybody that wants to meet us there is welcome to join." And we typically have a meetup and get to know each other and just have a good time. And but yeah, some of those are done organically as well.
Great. Okay, here we go. We're going to keep moving. Are the running classes or groups best in the morning or evening? There may not be a difference, but you may have a good experience.
I would say in the evenings, simply because of people's schedules. This is really no different than any other Bible study class, with the exception that you're going to go out and run most likely after. But I would say the vast majority of the classes, unless it's on a Saturday morning, are done in the evening throughout the week.
Perfect. Do you build the 5K cost into registration to maximize participation, or a separate cost near the end of the class?
So this is one of the things in the 5K challenge. This is one of the things you talk about week one. No, we don't typically build that into the cost of registration, because people will register at different times when it's in their budget or for whatever other reasons. But we do talk about this week one, that you need to do this as soon as possible, because nothing keeps you motivated more than signing up for a race. We always kind of joke about that, but it's true. Providing that anchor out there 12 weeks away that says, "I'm signed up for this race and therefore I'm going to do it." But the answer to that question is no, we don't typically build it into the cost of registration.
Perfect. Robin says, could there be a separate group of experienced runners to do weekly Bible study? Maybe more education components?
I'm sorry, Jennifer, I missed the last part of that
Sorry.
question. Cut
She
out.
said, could there be a separate group of experienced runners to do weekly Bible study? Maybe more advanced education components. I think that's available. That would be the
Travis, why
training
don't you
group.
talk about the training group a little bit there?
Yeah, I think the training group. So you got the
Would
5K
hit that.
challenge, very beginner based programming for runners and walkers, but you have the training groups as well, which is going to be a Bible study. I mean, Mitchell's going to be one of the primary writers of those devotions. One of the great things about it, he's going to keep that pretty relevant to things that's happening in the world, or things that he's learning in his own personal life there. The idea is that they're not written months in advance or years in advance or pulled from somewhere else. We are, as a team, putting those together all the time. And so the Bible study would be able to happen on a weekly basis. And then all the advanced education components and the advanced training plans. Really, someone could be doing the 5K challenge and someone could be training for a Boston qualifying marathon within the same group, coming together for that Bible study. So that's the idea of the training groups there.
Great. We've got two more. I'm going to give you guys two more questions and then we're going to do our giveaway. David asked a great question. And Travis, I'm going to ask this one for you because it's around product based.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I already do an annual 5K. He's done it for the last 4 years. That's awesome. Would you consider dropping the word virtual from your 5K medals or t-shirts so that I can switch it over? He said, I foresee it as an upward 5K, a fundraising for our upward youth sports leagues.
Here's what I'd say on that. The things that we're going to have as the virtual 5K package, product package, will have virtual on it. But if you'll work with your regional consultant, and kind of talk about what your needs might be. We might be able to do something for you until we have a solution for everyone in the future. So it's been kind of our way of doing things at Upward Sports for a long time, is to kind of look at the unique thing and see how we can consult you through that. And if we can help you, we certainly will. But the products themselves that we're going out the gate with will have virtual on it there. But we'd love to be able to help you, David. That sounds like an awesome opportunity there.
Mary, you asked a question about, you said, it seems like the best place for me to start is the 5K program, and then branch off into training groups. Yes, I think that's the best place. And I love that you said, as a woman, there are safety concerns, and this is a great place for you to start. I think that is a great way. Last question. Daniel says, I'm curious about the weather. I'm not an avid runner, but I have been a high school coach. So I'm curious about the weather. How do you handle weather with running in your timeline?
So that's a great question. I actually see where Danny Downing is on here. I was at his church just the other night talking to a group and had this same question. I always kind of joke and say you're either going to finish in good weather or you're going to start in good weather. Being that this 5K challenge is a 12-week program. We have some pushback from people saying, well, I don't really want to start in January because it's so cold, but typically you're going to be graduating in the spring when it's so nice. Obviously when temperatures are extreme on either end, extremely hot or extremely cold, you have to be careful and just use common sense, whether you should be out in that or not. But we often say it, you have the 20-degree rule when it comes to running. If it's, 20 degrees outside, once you get warmed up and you start running, it's going to feel like 40 degrees. And so dressing in layers and things like that. The heat provides a little bit more of a challenge sometimes. You might just have to get out earlier. But this is something that runners for ages have struggled with, and you just kind of have to find what works for you. But as far as doing the program in a particular time of year, there really isn't a best time to do it. We typically say January because you kind of capture that New Year's resolution crowd. But other than that, as far as weather, there really isn't a right time or a wrong time to be doing it.
Thank you, Mitchell. I did want to ask one last question because I saw that in here and everybody is asking about cost. So I did want to talk about base fee. Travis, can you speak to that for us? So what is the base fee for a Upward Church model participant?
Right. So base fees is a common term that we use in the Upward Sports side of things, to be able to do your shipping costs and your technology and curriculum and all the other things that we provide through that base fee today. Great thing about Upward Running, no base fee attached. So you could run this program as long as everyone's got the Run Club app. You can have it as minimal as that, and then no product, no extra fees to the church at all, would be how that would run. And so no base fees included on any of this.
That is exciting. I did want to cover one last question because this was another one that came in from Victor. He said, and I want to make sure everybody on here understands this. He said, I'm nervous about adding Upward Running. Is it going to be part of the Upward software that is accessible to a league director? And so, yes, again, for everybody on here, that is accessible through my Upward. The Run Club app is for your participant, your runner, your walker, yourself. That is what's navigating the participant day to day. The My Upward is for the coach, the church, the leader. That is your platform. Also, you can email and text through that platform. I want to make sure you understand that is the same. I can see it in my mind, even on here. Mariah, you were like, awesome. That's great to add running with Coach It with our practice nights. You can email parents from your past leagues and invite them to be a part of this. This is just another ministry touch point or another ministry tool that is available to you as a church. So know that this is not a standalone program. This is a program that is available to you as the church to offer for an adults. We've come to the end. I know you guys probably have more questions. There's places where you can get these answered. One, from Mitchell, from me, from Travis. Also, if you're a current partner, you can contact your ministry consultant. If you are interested about adding Upward Running and you're a current Upward partner, I want you to fill this out. What this will do is this will let me know to contact your ministry consultant. You'll hear from them and they will be reaching out and helping you set up your timeline. If you are not an Upward partner and you want to start Upward for the first time, let me give you this link. Let me find it. So I'm giving everybody time to do that. If you're not a current Upward partner, what I want you to do is I want you to go to the upward.org/run coach. And here it is for you. You want to start Upward for the first time, click here. What that means is you're going to get to schedule a call. And they're going to show you this My Upward system. And they're going to create a package that is designed just for you and a timeline that is just for you. So go ahead, current Upward partners, click the top one. If you're starting Upward for the first time, click the bottom one. You may be on here wondering, when can we start this? And I know that that is a question. And so we want to let you know we are in the final stages of wrapping up the My Upward side and this Run Club app to show you. We're so excited. I would expect probably by the end of the year, you guys will be able to log in to My Upward to create this 5K class or this training group. You'll be ready to launch it in the first quarter of the year. It'd be great for you to launch that at your church. So we want to help you get that started. So head over there and do that. It's time for our drawing. Let's see. Let me go to the top where everybody submitted their information and get my number. Head number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. It is Marion. She says, Marion from Fellowship Church. Marion, you are the winner. So I will be contacting you. You get the Upward Running t-shirt, the Upward Running hoodie, and an Upward Sports book bag. So I am excited that you are the winner. So congrats, Marion. I will contact you today. Again, I want to close by saying thank you so much to Travis and to Mitchell for the hard work that you guys are doing to make sure the Run Club app is on point and that My Upward suits the needs of our director. So thank you guys so much. And then lastly, for you guys that are on here, whether you're looking to start sports ministry, this is a great way to step into sports ministry and reach adults. If you're a current Upward partner and you're looking at ways to continue to stay engaged with families, to reach new families, this is a great way to include that mom and their dad. So make sure that you click the link. We want to help you get that started. But I want to just say thank you again, and I hope you guys have a great afternoon. Anything you guys want to add before we close, Travis and Mitchell, and I'll pray us out?
I'll just say, since we don't have exact dates as to when we're going to launch, we know it's coming here soon before the end of the year, but we will keep you up to date with all the information as to what the next steps might be and what the next launch date might look like and all those types of things. That's a key part of our role here. So we'll make sure we'll keep you in the loop.
So click that link. So that's where you're going to hear firsthand, and you'll be invited first. Angela, you said, can you share the Run Club website? Yes, upward.org/run coach. Are you good? Let me close this in prayer and then we'll head out. Thank you again for your time. Dear God, I thank you for today, and I thank you for another ministry tool to reach adults, Lord. I just pray for each leader that is on here that is thinking through adding this. I just pray that they would see this as a way to reach moms and dads and grandparents. And so, Lord, I pray for the leader that steps forward and does this. I pray for a successful launch of this in their church. And so, Lord, I just prayed for that. I pray for each community and each church that is represented. We love you, Lord. Amen. All right. You guys have a great afternoon. Thanks for joining in.
Good job, Jennifer.
See ya. Bye-bye.